The twin suns of Dracmora bled crimson across obsidian towers that pierced the purple sky like shattered bones. In the grand arena, beneath those impossible spires, where gravity bent wrong and the air tasted of copper and ozone, they gathered to watch something die. The dragon cub's screams echoed through crystalline walls, a sound like tearing metal and breaking glass, while the alien nobility placed their bets with jeweled claws and forked tongues. And there, at the edge of the pit, stood a human mechanic with grease beneath his fingernails and scars mapping his forearms, holding a wrench instead of a weapon. What happened next would rewrite the laws of an empire that had stood for 10,000 years. Before we start, subscribe now so you don't miss more incredible stories like this one. Oh, and before we dive in, tell us in the comments, where are you watching this video from? We love hearing from you and always read every message. The grand arena of Dracmora wasn't designed for mercy. Its walls curved upward like the inside of a predator's ribcage, translucent and pulsing with bioluminescent veins. Tier upon tier of spectators rose into the darkening sky, scaled faces, feathered crests, beings of pure energy, all watching the pit below with hungry eyes. In the center, the dragon cub thrashed against chains forged from starlight. No larger than an earth horse, its scales shimmered with galaxies, each containing actual dying stars. Its wings beat uselessly against the ground. Blood, the color of liquid mercury, pooled beneath its claws. "The 17th challenger approaches," announced the herald. "Velcross the Breaker, champion of the Northern Wastes." A massive reptilian warrior stepped into the pit, his hide covered in scarred armor. He carried a staff crackling with neural disruptors designed to force submission through agony. The dragon cub screamed, not a roar, but a child's cry. In the royal box, King Tharxion lounged upon a throne carved from vertebrae, his skin the color of storm clouds, eyes burning like red coals behind a crown of twisted black metal. Beside him sat his daughter. Princess Zaraketh was green as new leaves, her skin smooth where her father's was rough, her eyes reflecting stars instead of fire. She wore chains of gold that marked her as the prize. Every warrior who entered fought to claim her hand, her throne, her future. "Father, please," she whispered. "It's just a child." "It is a weapon," Tharxion rumbled, "and whoever can break it will prove worthy." At the pit's edge, Maintenance Access Tunnel 3, a human watched through the grated floor. Cole Brennan, 36 years old, lean muscle and weathered skin, beard trimmed close. He wore coveralls stained with hydraulic fluid, and his scarred hands gripped the tunnel's edge until his knuckles went white. He'd been fixing gravity stabilizers for 16 hours. He should have left. But he'd heard the dragon cub screaming, and something in that sound reached through Durasteel and indifference to grab his heart. In the pit, Velcross activated his neural staff. The first pulse hit the dragon like invisible lightning. Its back arched, mouth open in soundless agony. Cole's jaw clenched. He thought about the colonies, about the children he hadn't saved 3 years ago when his world burned, about how you can't fix the past, but maybe you get one chance to do better right now. Cole dropped through the maintenance grate and into the arena. Every eye turned to him, thousands of them all focusing on one scarred human holding nothing but a pipe wrench. "Who dares interrupt the trial of dominion?" King Tharxion's voice was very quiet, which made it more terrifying. Cole didn't look at the king. He looked at the dragon cub, at its bleeding feet and terror-bright eyes, and something in his chest that had been broken for 3 years suddenly remembered how to feel. But while the hall laughed at the foolish human, the dragon cub's eyes fixed on Cole's face with an intensity that made the ancient blood readers in the crowd go very still. Cole stood in the center with the weight of an empire's contempt pressing down. The dragon cub had stopped trembling. It watched him with eyes that held flecks of nebula. Velcross turned slowly. A human, Did maintenance lose a pet? The crowd's laughter cascaded through the arena. Cole's supervisor hissed through his comlink, "Brennan, get out of there." Cole pulled the earpiece out, letting it fall. "You dare enter the trial uninvited?" Tharxion leaned forward. "You dare touch what is sacred to the crown?" "I dare to stop watching something innocent suffer," Cole said quietly, and his voice somehow carried. Silence fell like a hammer. Princess Zaraketh's breath caught. In 3 days of trials, not one had called the dragon a child. Not one had used the word innocent. Tharxion's smile was terrible. "That creature is a dragon of the void, spawn of the stellar serpents who burned 14 worlds. And you think you can stand where champions have failed? I don't know, but I know what fear looks like. And I know nobody should have to perform their own breaking for entertainment." Velcross raised his neural staff. "I'll remove this interruption." "Wait." Tharxion descended from his box, each step causing the floor to shudder. He stopped 10 feet from Cole. "You speak of mercy, human, yet you are one of the conquered. What makes you think you have any right to challenge our traditions?" Cole met those burning eyes. "Being strong doesn't make cruelty entertainment, it just makes it cruelty with an audience." Tharxion studied him, then his smile widened. "You have courage, foolish courage, but courage nonetheless. So I offer you this, human mechanic, a wager. If you can calm the dragon cub, if you can do what 17 champions could not, then I will grant you any single request within my power. Wealth, rank, freedom for the human quarter. Anything." The crowd inhaled as one. "And when you fail, you will be executed slowly, publicly, and every human in my service will watch, so they remember the price of overstepping their place." Cole looked at the dragon cub again, at its bleeding feet and exhausted eyes. "And what happens to the dragon if I fail?" "Velcross completes the trial. The dragon is broken and becomes a weapon. And if I succeed, then perhaps I have underestimated your species." Cole thought about the children he hadn't saved, about how you can't go back, but maybe you get one chance to do better. "I accept." Tharxion clapped his hands together once, a sound like thunder. "Then let us bear witness. The human has until the twin suns set behind the black spire. Begin." Cole took his first step forward. No one believed he would even try to succeed. But the silence that followed his first word to the dragon spread across the chamber like a storm. Cole knelt 10 feet from the dragon cub and set down his wrench. Then he slowly pulled a rag from his pocket, stained with engine grease, and held it between himself and the dragon. "Hey there. I know you're scared. I know it hurts. But I'm not here to hurt you more." The dragon cub's nostrils flared, scenting the air. Someone shouted from the crowd, but Cole ignored them. He'd spent 3 years in maintenance, and before that, 5 years in xeno-veterinary support. Humans had built relationships with animals for 10,000 years. It was about trust. Trust started with making yourself vulnerable. "I'm going to move closer. You can burn me if you want, but I hope you won't." He slid forward on his knees. The dragon cub's muscles tensed. Its mouth opened, showing teeth like curved daggers. Then it closed its mouth. It was watching Cole's hands, his scarred, burned hands that moved with careful precision. "Those chains are too tight. They're cutting into you. I can see the stellar frost burns on your scales." He looked up at Tharxion. "Why would you make the chains hurt? If the point is dominance, pain just creates fear. Fear creates aggression. You're testing who can survive breaking a terrified child." The silence was absolute. "The chains teach strength," Tharxion said. "The chains teach that the world is cruel and safety is a lie, which might be true. But it doesn't create loyalty. It creates a weapon that'll turn on you the moment it's strong enough." He turned back to the cub. "But you're not a weapon, are you? You're just scared. You don't know where your parent is. You don't know why everything hurts. The dragon cub's trembling slowed. I know that feeling. I know what it's like when everyone expects you to be strong, to be hard, to be a thing instead of a person. He held up his hands, showing the scars. I got most of these trying to save people during the colony fires. Burns from pulling a kid out of a crashed shuttle. This one from holding a pressure seal closed while everyone evacuated. He lowered his hands. I failed. Lost the colony. Lost most of the people. And I stopped caring because feeling hurt too much. But then I heard you screaming, and I remembered that not caring doesn't make you strong. It just makes you hollow. He extended the rag. If you let me, I'd like to wrap your feet. Velcross laughed. It's a dragon, you fool. It doesn't... The dragon cub placed its right front foot in Cole's hand. The arena exploded in shocked murmurs. Zaraketh stood, hands pressed against the railing. Cole worked carefully, wrapping the damaged foot. The dragon's scales were warm, not hot, but alive with contained energy. Up close, each scale really did contain a tiny galaxy. You're beautiful, terrifying and beautiful. The dragon rumbled, something softer. Cole wrapped each foot. By the time he reached the fourth, the dragon cub had laid down completely, its head resting near his knee. The chains. They need to come off. If removed, it will attack, Velcross warned. Cole looked at the dragon. No, it won't. And just when everyone thought the spell would break, Cole reached for the first chain lock, and something was revealed that no one expected. The chain lock was bio-encrypted, designed to respond only to Drakmaran royal blood. It should have burned Cole's fingers to ash. Instead, it opened with a soft click that echoed through the silent arena. The chain fell away. The scale underneath was raw, but the moment the chain fell, it began to pulse with light, stars igniting, galaxies spinning faster. Impossible. Tharxion breathed. Cole reached for the second lock. It opened, then the third, then the fourth. The locks are keyed to reject any non-royal touch. The herald's voice cracked. He's not using force, Zaraketh whispered. Look at his hands. Between Cole's scarred knuckles and the alien technology, the air shimmered. Electromagnetic fields humans generated naturally. The same bioelectric pulses that let them interface with Earth animals, now finding resonance with alien technology. The fourth chain fell. The dragon cub stood slowly, testing its legs. It stretched its wings, and they opened fully. Spread wide, they spanned 30 feet, and within their membrane shone entire stellar systems. The crowd held its breath, waiting for the attack. The dragon cub turned its head to Cole and rumbled. Then it lowered its head and touched its nose to Cole's forehead. Light exploded through the arena, gentle luminescence of distant stars. For a moment, everyone watching saw what the dragon saw. Cole surrounded by an aura of bioelectric resonance that looked like Aurora Borealis given human form. They saw his memories, the colony burning, the children he'd carried through fire, the 3 years of maintenance work, keeping broken systems running while his heart remained shattered. They saw his scars and understood that pain hadn't made him cruel. It had made him gentle with broken things. The light faded. The dragon cub stepped back and sat beside him, its tail curling protectively. King Tharxion descended into the arena. In 10,000 years, no one has ever opened those locks without royal blood. Maybe you've been using the wrong test, Cole said. Explain. You've been treating it like a weapon to be broken. What if what it needed wasn't someone stronger, but someone who understood what it felt like to be terrified and hurting? Zaraketh spoke. He's right, Father. We never asked what the dragon needed. We only demanded what we wanted from it. Tharxion looked at his daughter, then back at Cole, at the dragon sitting peacefully beside him. at the wrapped feet and fallen chains. "You have calmed the dragon. By my own wager, you are owed a request." Cole hadn't thought about what he'd ask for. "I want to stay with the dragon, to help it learn, to make sure it's never chained like that again." Thakshan's eyes widened. "You would ask to remain, to serve as a keeper, a friend, if it wants one." The dragon pressed its head against his side, rumbling affirmation. Thakshan raised his voice. "The trial is complete. The human has calmed the dragon where champions failed. Cole Brennan, human mechanic, you are hereby appointed dragon keeper of the royal line. This dragon shall not be broken to the Empire's service. Instead, it shall be bonded, voluntarily, to the one who showed it mercy." It wasn't just knowledge he had demonstrated, it was something deeper. And suddenly, silence fell across the crowd as they realized they'd witnessed something that would change everything. 3 days after the trial, Cole discovered the truth in the archives. He'd been given quarters in the royal wing. The dragon cub refused to leave his side. But Cole couldn't sleep. At midnight, he accessed the information terminal and looked up the stellar serpents. Stellar serpents, dragons of the void. Category: extinct. The stellar serpents had once been capable of living in space, traveling between stars, breathing stellar fire. They were ancient, older than most spacefaring species, and they'd been genocided. 500 years ago, the Drakmorans had decided creatures of such power either needed to serve or cease to exist. They'd hunted the stellar serpents across systems, killing adults, taking eggs. The last wild stellar serpent had been killed 3 years ago, defending its young, a single cub captured and brought to Drakmora. Cole looked at the dragon sleeping in the corner. "Hey, wake up." The dragon's eyes opened. It padded over. "Your parent died 3 years ago, defending you. I'm so sorry." The dragon rumbled sad harmonics. It had known it was alone. Cole found another file buried deep. Human-animal bonding patterns, electromagnetic resonance theory. Humans had evolved alongside animals, developing unique abilities to form cross-species bonds using bioelectric signals. The file included a footnote. Note: stellar serpent eggs respond to low-frequency electromagnetic pulses similar to human biorhythms. All human-dragon contact has been prevented. "They kept us apart," Cole whispered. "Not because it wouldn't work, because they were afraid it would." The dragon pressed its head against his chest, right over his heart. A sound made him turn. Princess Zaraketh stood in the doorway. "I couldn't sleep either. May I come in?" Cole nodded. She sat near them. "I've been reading the same files, about what we did to them." "Do you know why he created the trial?" she asked. "To find me a husband who'd proven themselves willing to break something beautiful for power. He was testing for cruelty, and you failed his test completely. So what happens now?" "Now we have a problem. You've bonded with the last stellar serpent. When it matures, it will be one of the most powerful beings in known space. And my father is still a king." Before Cole could respond, the door opened. King Thakshan entered. "I thought I might find you conspiring." Cole tensed, but Thakshan raised a hand. "I'm not here to threaten. I've been reading the same files, and I've made a decision." He approached slowly, then knelt. 500 years ago, my ancestor ordered the genocide of the stellar serpents because he feared their power. But it was just fear. He looked at Cole. "You showed me that strength can look like mercy, that power can choose gentleness." He stood. "So I'm making a new law. The trial of dominion is ended. No more dragons will be broken. This dragon will be the first of a new tradition, not a weapon, a symbol. You, Cole Brennan, will teach what you know." Then the dragon cub spoke. Its voice was harmonic resonance that spoke directly to the bones. "Velethia, that was my name. before the chains. Mother gave it to me when the stars were young. Images flooded their minds, nebulae swirling, a massive dragon protecting worlds. Then darkness, imperial ships, the parent dragon fighting, dying. You gave me back my voice. You remembered I was someone, not something. So I give you my name, Cole Brennan. And in my language, that means you're mine and I'm yours until the stars die. A true bonding, Tharxion said with awe. Velethia stepped forward and touched her nose to Tharxion's forehead. Light pulsed. When it faded, the king stood stunned. You showed me what my ancestor destroyed, not an empire, a symphony. He looked at Cole. Thank you, for being human in all the ways we'd forgotten to value. Velethia sang, transforming Cole's name into starlight made audible. Star tender, heart reader, friend to the lost. That's who you are in my language. The three of them stood together, a dragon remembering its voice, a princess freed from tradition, and a mechanic who'd become a symbol. And as they walked from the royal wing into whatever came next, no one who saw the dragon flying freely dared laugh again. For they finally understood what they had witnessed. 6 months later, Cole stood in the same arena, but everything had changed. The chains were gone, melted down and reformed into a monument, a sculpture of dragon and human reaching toward each other. The bloodstains had been scrubbed away. The tears now held students, humans and Drakmarans, learning together. Again, Cole called to a young Drakmaran warrior struggling with a plasma stabilizer. Gentle pressure. You're listening to what it needs. This was the new academy. Tharxion's revolution made real. Above them, Velethia flew. She'd grown, now twice her size, wings spanning 100 feet, each scale blazing with mature stellar light. She chose every day to return, because now it meant something different. Children clustered near the monument, drawing art from what had once been pain. Is it true Velethia can hear the stars singing? Asked a human child. It is, and sometimes when we're flying I can almost hear it too. Zaraketh approached with datapads. 3 more worlds have requested to send students. They're calling you a hero back on Earth. I'm not a hero. I just dropped into an arena to save someone you'd never met. Just challenged an empire's traditions. Accept that people think you're heroic. Velethia descended, landing with grace. She projected a memory. The night sky changed. Instead of one dragon, dozens of species flying together in coordinated patterns that looked like music made visible. This is what could be. Not empire, not conquest. A symphony of choices. The children cheered. Tharxion appeared. He'd aged. Keeper Cole, I've received word from the outer colonies. 3 systems have declared independence. They cite the trial's ending as proof the Empire is weakening. Are you weakening? Yes, and that's as it should be. Empire built on force alone was always going to crumble. He gestured to the students. Every person who learns cooperation here is a seed planted. Father, you should know, Zaraketh said. When you step down, I won't take the throne. I'll lead as a representative, the first democratically elected leader of what we're calling the Confederation of Choice. Tharxion absorbed this. Then he laughed. A mechanic, a single human mechanic. That's what undid 10,000 years of imperial tradition. Velethia spread her wings. Then we fly. We fly so high and bright that everyone who looks up sees what's possible. She lowered her head, inviting. Cole climbed onto her back. Zaraketh joined him. Tharxion watched from the ground, his eyes holding hope. Thank you, the king called, for teaching an old conqueror that surrender can look like wisdom. Velethia pushed off, and they were airborne, rising above the city, learning to be something new. The twin suns set, painting the sky in impossible colors, to be human in all the ways that matter. They flew through the darkening sky, three beings from three different worlds, bound by choice and hope. And below them, an empire began its transformation into something history would remember, not for its conquests, but for the moment it learned to kneel. The galaxy learned slowly, but it learned. 1 year after the trial's end, the first human-dragon bonding ceremonies were held on 7 different worlds. Velithia's song had spread across communication networks, always carrying the same message: you are someone, not something. 2 years after, the Confederation of Choice held its first democratic elections. Zaraketh won, her platform built on cooperation instead of conquest. Tharxian attended her inauguration and wept when she referenced the mechanic who taught them all that mercy was strength. 3 years after, the first stellar serpent egg in 5 centuries was discovered. It was brought to the Academy, where Cole and Velithia waited. When it hatched, the cub sang its first word, friend. 5 years after, the Academy had expanded to 14 worlds. Human and alien students learned together. The Drakmorans learned human-animal bonding techniques. Humans learned alien technologies. And the dragons, there were 12 now, taught everyone the Song of Stars. Cole stood in the original arena on the anniversary, older now, his hair shot through with grey. Velithia waited beside him, fully grown, magnificent beyond words. She was large enough to carry 12 riders, her wings spanning 200 feet. The arena was packed. Thousands had come to commemorate the Day of Choice. They want you to speak, Zaraketh said. I'm not good at speeches. Then don't make a speech. Just tell them what you told the dragon. Cole stepped to the center. The crowd fell silent. 6 years ago, I was nobody. A mechanic trying not to feel anything because feeling hurt too much. Then I heard a child screaming, and I had a choice. I could walk away, stay safe, stay numb, or I could try to stop one creature's pain. His voice carried through the arena. I'm not a hero. I was just tired of being hollow. Tired of pretending that cruelty was inevitable or that power required someone to suffer. So I did something small. I knelt down. I wrapped bleeding feet. I said, I see you, to someone everyone else saw as a thing. The crowd was still. And it turns out, that's all it ever takes. Seeing beings instead of things. Choosing kindness when cruelty would be easier. He gestured to the monument. Those chains were real. The pain was real. But they're gone now, remade into a symbol of connection. He looked up. Every one of you has the same choice. You can walk past suffering, or you can kneel beside it. You can build power through fear, or something better through partnership. Velithia spread her wings. Starlight cascaded through the arena. The dragons aren't gone. They're coming back, not as weapons but as partners, and they're teaching us that the universe is wide enough for everyone to sing their own song. He smiled. So that's what I want you to remember. Not that a mechanic did something impossible, but that every day you have the power to choose kindness, to choose to see, to choose to kneel beside suffering instead of walking past it. The crowd erupted, not in cheers, but in understanding. Recognition, Velithia sang, and this time her voice carried across networks to every connected world. The song had no words, just harmonics that resonated with every species' capacity for empathy. Later, Cole and Velithia flew alone into the nebula. They flew higher than the atmosphere, into the void where stars sang unfiltered. Are you happy? Cole asked through their bond. I am free. I am chosen. I am loved. What else could I need? Your parent, your people, everything the Empire took. Velithia was quiet, then projected an image. The 12 young dragons learning to fly. The academy full of students. The Confederation growing. They took the past. But you gave me a future. We're building something my parent would have loved. That's everything. They floated together, watching stars be born. What happens next? We keep flying. We keep teaching. We keep showing them what's possible. And maybe in 1,000 years, when species look back at this moment, they'll remember not the empire that fell, but the friendship that rose. Not the chains that broke, but the bonds we chose. She paused. They'll remember that once. A single human with scarred hands heard a dragon screaming and refused to look away. And in that refusal, galaxies learned to sing together. Cole smiled. No pressure. You've carried it well so far. They turned together and flew back toward Drakmora. Below them, the city lights were coming on, each representing a choice, a connection, a being choosing to see another truly. In a universe built on arrogance, sometimes a single act of dignity is enough to shift the stars themselves. Sometimes all it takes is refusing to accept that pain and power must go hand in hand. And sometimes, just sometimes, when a mechanic and a dragon teach the galaxy to sing, the music lasts long enough for the stars themselves to remember. They flew into the night, carrying the message that every being deserves to be seen, that every voice deserves to be heard, and that the greatest empires would be ones where freedom meant something more than the absence of chains. It meant the presence of wings,